Guten gardening, everybody. In today's video, I want to focus in on vertical gardening, and specifically, I want to talk about a key advantage of growing vertically indoors and a key potential disadvantage that you really need to address if you want to grow successfully vertically indoors. So we're going to take a look at some of our setups, and then I'm going to show you what the problem is and a potential fix. And this is also day number 10 of our 31 days of Guten gardening gift giving, so stay tuned for that giveaway at some point in this video. Well, the key advantage to vertical gardening is very simple. You get to take advantage of the space you have in a more effective way, and therefore you grow more produce, more vegetables, more fruits, etc. And so one of the things that's important to us, especially when we have a very limited space indoors, we're talking about 100 square feet, and compare that to our outdoor space, which we also consider to be pretty small by comparison to many other gardens. Well, we really have to take advantage of every single one of those square feet, and one way to do it is to go upwards instead of just a flat plane. And one easy way to do that is to use shelving. Now, what I'm showing you is the inside of our Grow little greenhouse here. So we've got this, and we've had this indoors for quite some time. I'll put the measurements on here, but what we basically have is some shelving here, and above each of our shelves we have some of our Berea LED grow lights. These are full spectrum 42-watt grow lights, and each of our shelves has this right up above it. So this is one way that we can take advantage of about 20 square feet of the space in our indoor area. And while the area where I'm currently kneeling here in the middle can't be used except at a base level, and we certainly do use that, we have grow bags in the middle here when we're in full production. These sides are now 3 tiers instead of 1, so we're tripling that space that we can grow in. And again, lights above each level really helps us to keep enough lighting in here. Now, one thing that you have to remember about the different types of setups that we have here in terms of vertical growing, each of them is suitable for different types of plants. Because here in our top tier, we have way more space than the 2 tiers below in terms of the height of the plant. So if I'm going to grow in here, maybe I'm going to have some bush type tomatoes at the top, or we've grown some of our kohlrabi at the top. We've grown some of the other types of vegetables that have a little bit more height needs at the top. Right now we have these in here which are just starting to get some green back on them. Do you remember these? These are in their 3rd year. If you can remember what these plants are, leave it in the comment below. We've got several of them here. Now, we've got these in here. These require about 13, 14 inches of height. Well, below that, maybe I can only grow something that's like 10 to 12 inches tall. So that's what we have to keep in mind. But still, we're able to take advantage of more space. Again, the key advantage of vertical gardening. Let me show you another one of our setups in here. So this is another type of shelving that we use, and you can tell by all the heat mats on here what we typically use it for is our seed starting area. And one of the reasons that's the case is because if I put my hand here, you can see we've only got about 7 or so inches of height between the lights. And these are just some inexpensive 4000K lights. So it makes sense that we would use these for our seed starting, but with 6 or 7 inches of growth, this is actually a really perfect setup for us to grow some of our microgreens under. Now, this setup came from another indoor greenhouse that we don't use the exterior of anymore, but again, each of these vertical garden spaces is expanding our space inside. You know what else would grow really well in these shelves would be something like our radishes, a nice root plant that doesn't get massive greens. I think they do just fine in this kind of space. Hey, if you have a kind of shelving lying around, you can get a hold of some of these inexpensive lights and see what you can do with it. I should mention something else about growing on these shelves. When you get down to the floor area, and this is a concrete floor right here, so it's going to be a little bit colder. So you got to keep that in mind when it comes to the heat of your plants. What we're growing up here has a light under it and a light above it. And while they may not put off as much heat, the farther we are from the floor, the warmer the temps are going to be. So keep that in mind as you're making a decision as to what you want to grow in your vertical area. Now, another method of vertical gardening that can allow you to repurpose some of what you use outdoors, or even be more creative than that, is a method of suspension. And I mean hanging from the ceiling to grow vertically. Now, this method could include anything from hanging pots, where you have a space in your ceiling that you want to hang something down. I'm going to put it up nice and close to some of your ceiling lights. Like we have some of our recessed bay lights down here. So you can use hanging baskets, or it could be as simple as repurposing something that you might not have even considered. And hopefully you can see this is exactly what I'm talking about. I've actually got a little bit of fencing in here that I'm using to put all the way up to the ceiling of our grow tent. And then any vegetables that are growing from our raised bed that need to grow up can actually crawl right up this bit of trellising that we have here. So the fencing idea, bringing it inside, is pretty helpful for a trellis. But beyond that, I've also got what looks like this mesh cloth. Now, if you could guess what this is from, I would be absolutely amazed. But I can tell you this, we've had peas climb right up this mesh all the way up. All right, I'll tell you what it is. We had an old bed sheet that I bought, and this netting was on the inside of it. And I looked at it and thought, wow, we could probably use this. We hung it up and it works. So again, repurposing to allow for vertical space, even if it means attaching at the top and letting it come down, or just letting things climb up and basically be suspended over top of what you're trying to grow. That's another way of taking advantage of the vertical space you might have. And these things, they didn't cost us anything extra because we already had the fencing for our outdoor trellising. We just brought a piece of it inside because we didn't need a very big piece. And that blanket that this mesh came from, it actually melted somewhat in the dryer a couple of years ago. So we took the piece that survived, the mesh, and now it's helping us to grow food. Oh, and one more thing. Let's say you couldn't find anything else to use to grow vertically. A piece of string just like this works just as well. Because believe it or not, this is suspended from the ceiling, and we've had beans climb up this. This works really well as well to help hold your tomatoes up, to help them grow vertically instead of growing out. So if you're trying to trim your tomatoes back and hold up that main stem, a piece of string will do an awful lot of work for you. It truly is amazing what you can do to grow vertically inside to save some of that space. All right, let's take a look at one of our main concerns here with growing vertically indoors. So you can see with vertical gardening, you can get a little bit creative, and I would say repurposing some of what you have to become shelving, or one of the other things that we've shown you so far in terms of vertical gardening isn't all that difficult, and a lot of times can actually save you a little bit of money in terms of what you're getting. One of our favorite types of vertical gardening, and we talk about it a lot on this channel, is the tower style of vertical gardening like we have here with our GreenStalk vertical garden. Now I've already started planting in this GreenStalk, and I'm going to save that information and what we planted for a later video. But here's where I can talk about one of the key problems you can have with vertical gardening, and something I want you to really keep in mind as you consider vertical gardening. Now, a number of you have asked what our lighting setup is in here, specifically above our GreenStalk, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. I don't actually have all of our lights on because I don't want to turn everything in here purple or pink, and I don't want that fan blowing. But I'm going to talk to you about one of the potential disadvantages of vertical gardening indoors that you should probably address if you want success. Because this is what a typical setup I think would look like for a lot of people. You have the light at the top, regardless of what the light is, and then you have the tower down here. Can you see all those shadows down here? See how dark it gets toward the bottom? Well, as I said a minute ago, I think a lot of times people don't consider this when it comes to how they're growing indoors, and this is one thing I want to focus on. Now, the idea or concept of PAR goes beyond the scope of this video, because I'm not going to talk about the amount of light each type of flower or plant needs. But what I am going to show you is a little tool that you can use to see what I'm talking about, or at least to see the effect of what I'm talking about, and then one of our potential solutions to improve it around this GreenStalk. Now, in order to demonstrate the problem that I'm talking about, I downloaded this app called Photone. Now, they tell you at the beginning that this is not an official PAR measuring device, but it definitely will help to illustrate the problem that I'm talking about with the lighting. So I'm right here beside our topmost tier, and it's telling me we have about 700 micromoles per meter squared per second. That's the PAR it says at our top tier. And the farther that I move this down, the lower the number gets. Again, I apologize for the glare, but I want you to see this because basically we lose potential light source the farther we go down the tower. And if we don't address that, then we're going to get plenty of light at the top tier. And then what's going to happen to those vegetables down below? Now, I've just turned on a bunch more full spectrum lights that we have in here, and so that helps out some, but then we still have the side of this that's up against the wall. You see it right back in there, and that's still going to be shadowed as well. So what can we do to try to fix that? I'm going to show you. We spent about $45 to get this pack of 6 Barina LED T5 fixtures. Let me show you what this looks like. All right, I'm going to interrupt this video for our 10th giveaway in our 31 days of Guten gardening gift giving. Well, there are more people than we've ever had. We have 90 entries into today's giveaway. Maybe that's because we just introduced our seed share video. Check that out if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and take a look at what today's entrants could win. Well, since we're showing these lights today, it makes sense that our giveaway is for this 6-pack of Barina LED T5 lights. And I think the winner of this is really going to like this setup. You're going to see exactly what this setup looks like here in just a second. Boy, I can't wait to give this away. Now listen, if you want to be entered in for the next giveaway, for giveaway number 11, make sure you leave a comment on this video or one of the videos in our upcoming community post between now and the next video. And if you win today, make sure you leave a comment on this video, and we'll get back with you and get that shipped out to you as quickly as possible. Well, in my opinion, that's another great giveaway. Let's go ahead and see who our winner is for day 10 out of 31. Here we go. Our winner is Frog in Progress. Congratulations, Frog in Progress. We hope you enjoy your prize. Now, leave a comment saying congratulations to the winner, but again, don't tell their name in the comment so that they can watch the video and be surprised when they see that they won. Congratulations again. Let's get back to our video. These lights are super easy to assemble. And assembling these is incredibly simple because all I have to do is take the plug, and there are multiple plugs with these. I can plug into one end, and then once I plug this in, we're good to go. Or if I want to connect them, if I have a longer space, I can hook in my second plug and hook up the next one as well. But let me show you what one of these looks like. Now's when it really pays to have these surge protectors with tons of sockets. All right, are you ready? Here's our first one, and you can see the additional lighting that we're already bringing. They're not going to give off a ton of heat, but I can have these the whole way around my setup here, providing the additional light that I need. Now, since these are so lightweight, I could actually suspend mine from the rib cage here of our grow tent, but there are plenty of other ways that you can assemble these and attach them. In fact, there are lots of mounts here that they come with as well. So depending on what your setup is, that's how you can determine the best way to suspend these, to hang these around the area you need. I'm gonna go ahead and put up a couple more and show you what the end product looks like. All right, let's take a look at our setup now. These are with all of our other lights on, but the Barina lights off. So you can see we've got a decent amount of light in here, but still some shading. Of course, part of that's my phone trying to record this. But now look at what this corner looks like with those lights on. And again, it's really hard for me to show you this completely accurately because the lights are messing with the camera here. But I can tell you for sure, the plants that we're going to be growing in here are really going to appreciate these lights that they now have surrounding them. And all I really did to hang these lights up was to suspend them from the rib cage, the frame. I'm gonna try to give you a better look at this. I've turned off all my pink and purple lights in here so you can see it a little bit better. Just all the light that's provided. It's a really nice bright space here. The key here is to try to provide as even of lighting as possible the whole way down this tower to try to avoid problems with our vegetables at the bottom not having enough light. Well, congratulations once again to our 10th winner. Remember, there are 21 more giveaways left to go. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.